Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. And today the video that I'm going to be talking about, what I'm going to be talking about in this video, is something that's not really gaming related. It's just completely sort of different, and what I'm talking about is a specific artist that in my opinion is probably one of my favorite, or yeah, my favorite artist of all time, and probably will be my favorite of all time because of how long I've been listening to his music and how sort of, I guess, motivational or like inspiring he is. And you can say that I'm glazing or whatever, but I don't really care if you think that, just because I like, support my favorite artist. But the artist, if you don't know who I'm talking about, is Eminem, obviously. It's someone that everyone knows. My friends knows that, I like listening to him every time. They always sort of just joke with me, calling me the real Slim Shady or whatever, even though I look nothing like him and I'm not slim at all. But moving on from that, so what I'm going to be talking about in this video is his album that he released and sort of the different, like, sides of it. And it's not really because he didn't really cause many problems with the new album he released. It's sort of a diversity right now. Like, there's two different sides that are saying best album or worst album. As bad as, I don't know, Revival as people say, or as good as the what was it called, the Eminem Show, or other albums that he did really good at making. And the last album he had was Music to Be Murdered By, which was 4 years ago basically. So we had no songs at all for 4 years, or at least we. There may have been some singles, but they weren't really as great and that really great than the other ones that have been released. So it hasn't been really that great for him recently. The one that I would say is pretty good, that he didn't actually himself release it. It was mostly Juice World, because I think it was before Juice World died. The song "Lace It," the one it's Juice World Eminem. Eminem was just a feature of it, I'm pretty sure. But that one's alright. But again, it's not really something that people like go back and listen to him or something. It's not. But his new album, The Death of Slim Shady, he's sort of bringing back the nostalgia and the way his songs used to be. But that's the thing right there, that is, many people say that the songs, he's not really trying his best, or like, what I'm saying is, like, it doesn't feel like in some way that the old version of, or the Slim Shady of him is, it doesn't really feel like it's him. But I'm gonna be talking about, like, was it worth the wait? Was it worth waiting 4 years for him to finally release this album? And I might be biased, and sometimes I'm trying not to be, and I really am not, because I know he's my favorite artist, but I can sort of be biased at times. And again, this sort of video is just, it's not just one opinion. There's many opinions on this album. Many people will like it. It may be the best album, or many people will just hate it, and it's completely fine with that. I'm completely fine. This is something that's just based on your own opinion. But for me, I'm going to be talking about my opinion and why I think what I think later on. Now, again, like I said, the last album was 4 years ago, and he later on this year teased the album with Houdini, and it was something weird, because I swear I thought when he was teasing Houdini, he was saying, and for my last trick, sort of implying that it's his last song or album that he's ever gonna be doing, and then he's done with music forever. But when the song released, all that was just, like, wrong, and it's not his last album apparently, from what he said, which is good, I guess. But I guess he sort of just bamboozled us. But Houdini was actually supposed to be in The Death of Slim Shady, but he just used it to tease the song, or tease the album. So later on, when the album did release, there were 14 songs. There were some other ones that say that concludes 19, but those are just skits. So 14 songs in total, and the songs are Habit, Brand New Dance, Guilty Conscience 2, Houdini, Antichrist, Somebody Save Me, Temporary, Lucifer, Evil, Bad One, Fuel, Toby Maguire, Road Rage, and Head Honcho. I know I sort of mixed all those names, but I'm gonna explain that right now. Um, he was sort of going on this one of the mixture of the Slim Shady and modern Eminem, and I sort of like that in a way. I do like it, and some of them are really good. Now, what would I rank these songs in total? Now that I've listened to them many times already, I probably listened to that album quite a few times. But he was sort of going on the old ones, like Guilty Conscience was from a previous album, a really old album. The album with My Name Is, from what I'm aware, I'm pretty sure. Other songs as well. But he also included two songs that were mostly for like him, I guess, passing away, or also for Haley. So he was really going with the Slim Shady classic, making songs for Haley. I don't recall at all because I didn't really listen to the album properly. I don't know if in Music to Be Murdered By he made one for Haley, but I'm just not sure. But he did in this one, so it does definitely make it sort of nostalgic, I would say. But moving on from that, what would I really rank these songs from one, or at least from best to worst? So this is all my opinion, and there are some things, like some songs that people say is top tier, like the best, but some that I would say it doesn't really feel like it is. It's not really my favorite. It's a decent song, but I wouldn't really say it's the best one from his album. So here it is. Like I already said before, I actually just specified my ranking. So my favorite, like top 5 is probably the best. Top 10 is probably good ones, just not ones that are the absolute best, and the rest are just not really that great in the album. They're not really that great. Wouldn't really like listening to them that much. But here it is. Habit. I would say Habit is probably one of the best ones in his album. The way that it starts, I really do like it, and it definitely really gives such a good vibe and such a good beat to everything of Slim Shady and Eminem. And the concept of this album is actually pretty good because it's sort of Eminem and, well, just fighting with his consciousness of the Slim Shady trying to take him over and holding him hostage and everything. It's cool. I really think it is cool, and I think Habit is a really good song for it to like start the album. And again, the way I'm ranking these songs, they're not in order because from what he said that you need to listen to the album in order for it to make sense, which I understand. Next song is Brand New Dance. Brand New Dance was actually a song that was supposed to release an encore, the Encore album, which was about Chris Reeves because I guess for some reason Eminem loved to clown on Chris Reeves. But he didn't add the song in the album because Chris Reeves died, so he probably might have been a good idea he didn't. But now I'm guessing that in this album he decided to release it, but this time releasing it with a little bit of modern Eminem in it as well. It's not really that much. It's still, I think, just Eminem or just Slim Shady. He just added a little bit, so it's a really good song. I really like it. For some reason, the beat and the audio is a little goofy, but I like it, honestly. I would recommend listening to that song. Next one, Guilty Conscience 2. I think it's probably one of my favorite because the many opportunities with Guilty Conscience 2, because I feel like that song would probably be really dope as a music video. Just Eminem and Slim Shady fighting against each other and just dissing each other. I think that would be really cool and probably one of the songs that I would want as a music video. But again, that's just my opinion. Then Houdini. Now, I know people say that Houdini was actually an awful song, but I guess I can understand because people probably got annoyed of it every time. But honestly, I like it because it is sort of giving the vibe of Without Me. I would say it's probably the most accurate from Without Me. Just modern Eminem. I can't speak. I think that Houdini is a good song, one of my favorites, and it's my opinion. Again, you can say that you hate it. I'm completely fine with that, but I think Houdini is a pretty good song. Just my opinion. Cancel me if you want. Not kidding. But fifth is Antichrist. Antichrist is a good song as well. I don't really like the ending of the song where it starts singing the other artist. I don't really like that part. I would just prefer when it was just Slim Shady and Eminem singing. And I think it's a good song. The Marshall, he's the Antichrist. I think he did really well with that song as well, the beat and everything. And I am gonna talk about something that I didn't really like, and it's for mostly a lot of the songs that he's done. But I'm gonna talk about that later. Next one, Somebody Save Me. This is one of the songs that talks about sort of him, like, his regrets and everything, and things that he wanted to say before I guess he passes away. And so it's a good song. I really think that he does really good with the songs that are like, serious and kind of sad, like, regretting for the things that he's done and wanting to do better in life. I think he really does really good with that. And I would say Somebody Save Me is better than Temporary, but I'm just saying like this, Temporary is a good song as well. I'm not saying it's bad, it's a good song. And then 7, Temporary. Like I said, it's just below it. It's a good song. I really like it. Just I would prefer Somebody Save Me. It's a good song still. I really think it's a good song, and it's kind of heartwarming just hearing the audio of, you know, Eminem. Well, when he was, being a father, and he still is, just caring about his child and Haley when she was a kid. It was nice. It was just the father daughter sort of just memory or whatever. But next one, Evil. I don't really hear anyone actually like hate or like this song. I never really hear anyone actually talk about this song. I understand that because this one's mostly just of Eminem and some part Slim Shady in it as well. But honestly, I would actually say that I like the song. I kind of like it. It has a good vibe. And it's like, I'm so evil. It's kind of cringy, I would say. If you think about that, it may sound cringy and just sound stupid. But in my opinion, I think it's still a pretty good song. And I would understand that people really only like the songs that where he just really goes on full Slim Shady. But I would still think that he did pretty good with just also including Eminem, modern Eminem. And I think it's good that he did that. But I'm gonna talk about that later again. I'm sorry. Next one is Bad One. Now, this one again, no one ever really talks about it, but I really like the vibe of this song as well. It sounds pretty good. I really do think it sounds great. And again, obviously not the best. Obviously, there's way better ones, but Bad One is not the worst. I think it's pretty good as well. So these top 10, I would say, are good. But now we're moving on to the rest, which I don't think are the greatest, but they're still okay in their own way. So 11, which is Fuel. Now I understand that people will say that some people have said that Fuel is actually top one, two, one of the best songs from what I'm aware. People have said that when I heard, like, I started seeing people talk about the album and saying that Fuel is one of the best, arguing with Fuel and I don't know, Habits or stuff like that, Brand New Dance. What's the best song? But honestly, I don't really think that Fuel is the best. I really think it's an alright song. It's just not one of my favorites. I'm not saying that it's awful or anything. I just prefer the other songs that I've said already before. It's still a decent song, but I would prefer listening to the other ones because it definitely sounds better and definitely makes me enjoy the other songs. Like it's just again my opinion, but I don't really see it seeing the Eminem Fuel. I don't really see how it's one of the best. It's a decent song, but I wouldn't really say it's top 5 or something. It's just my opinion again. I know I keep saying that. It's just my opinion. Cancel me, whatever. I don't care. It's just my opinion, and I understand if you think that my opinion sounds stupid as fuck. It's completely fine. Next one, Toby Maguire. Well, Toby, I guess. Another song that he released to sort of tease as well the album. Toby Maguire got bit by a spider, but see me, it was a coat. Now that that line or those lyrics is so fucking corny and cheesy. It's just funny to laugh at, and it's just like I feel like there would have been better ways to make that song or like talk about like instead of Toby Maguire like got bit by a spider and then me I was a goat or something got bit by a goat. I feel like there would have been better ways to like rephrase that sort of sentence or something. Just seeing it like saying it like that sounds a little not really. I can't describe it, but it just makes me laugh just hearing that shit. It sounds so goofy and out of place for a song like Eminem. And I know it's not just him, and I would actually say the best part of the song is when Eminem starts singing it. But again, I'm not saying that the other artists, like I think Big Sean and someone else, I'm sorry if I forgot his name, they did alright as well. I'm not saying that they did bad. Just I would say I would have liked it more if it was just Eminem singing that song. I feel like that would have been better. But again, I'm not saying that the other artists were bad. They aren't. They aren't really that bad from what I'm aware. I don't think they did horrible on the song. Just would prefer if maybe just if M did it, just sang the whole thing. I feel like it might have been better. Maybe probably top 10 or something. But again, just saying it's not really the best. I wouldn't really listen to it that much. Next one, Road Rage. I don't know. I don't know this song. This song is weird. The beat of it sounds weird. Like I don't really like it. And again, Eminem singing it, he did pretty good on it as well. But I would say it's not really one of my favorites. It's not really that great. But again, all the songs in the album, they're still okay in their own way. Just Road Rage is not really that great. I would say it's not. It's just not that great. There's better ones I would say from the album. And then the last one, I would say it's probably the worst one. I just don't like it in my opinion. I don't know what it is. It's just I don't like the song. And only thing that I would like about it is just M singing it, but his Head Honcho. Head Honcho is not really that good of a song, I would say. It's not really my favorite at all. I don't really like it that much. I don't really like listening to it. I would usually just skip that song. It's fine if you like it. I have no problem with that, but I don't really like the song, honestly. It's probably the worst of the album, but it's really not the worst of all time, I would say. There's probably other worse songs out there, but this one's not really that great either. So yeah, from all the songs that I've rated, I would say this is probably the best ranking I would say I would give it because it's just that's just how I think it is. Top 5 I would say probably the best. The rest, like top 10 are good, just the other ones are better. And then the rest, like under top 10 is not really that great, I would say. But moving on from that, this is probably my ranking. Feel free to agree or disagree, or feel free to make your own ranking of your songs. But moving on, now we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of this album. Alright, so we're going to be talking about the pros first. So the pros of this album is the beat and the rhythm of the songs are great. And I'm going to be talking about mostly, I guess, the first 12 songs are the beat and the rhythm of it are good. So going past Feel and Tobey Maguire, Road Rage and Head Honcho, not that great. But these 12, I would say they did good with the beat and rhythm and Eminem singing it as well with the other artists. I think they're alright. And I really do think that the beat and rhythm of it sort of does give that old vibe of Slim Shady in his old songs, but Eminem's still also trying to stick with his modern end because I think it's good that he doesn't fully rely on Slim Shady because then again people might later on start getting bored of Slim Shady and it's like, can you move on to something different because all you use is just the Slim Shady every time. And that's what I feel like he was trying to do because fully relying on Slim Shady is not a good idea because I get that he's trying to do something different. He's not just trying to rely on his Slim Shady sort of past or whatever because I mean again his Slim Shady past is not really that great. It wasn't really good for his health and everything. But he's still agreeing that it's his time at that time, Slim Shady time, was probably one of his best moments and was his best moment, I would say, because he did phenomenal during that time. So he agrees that that time is probably one of my best times because he was passionate, I would say. He did really well with it. But again, he can't fully rely on it because it wouldn't be that great because then people would get tired of that. Even if people say, no, I wouldn't get tired of that. Yes, you will eventually. People do get tired of that. No one wants just the same shit over and over and over because then it gets boring. So I think the beats and the rhythm of the songs goes well because it's different usually many times. It sometimes feels like Slim Shady and it sometimes feels like Eminem for people that like the M version, just the modern of him. So I think he did good with that. And second thing, he does bring back the sort of vibe of his old songs. Many of the songs that I would say sounds like the old version of him is Habit, Brand New Dance, obviously, because Brand New Dance was an encore. Guilty Conscience, he does go a lot, sort of in the part when Slim Shady starts going off on Eminem, when he starts, popping off on him. That's when he starts sounding a lot like Slim Shady, I would say. Probably the most accurate. Antichrist and Houdini, I would say these were the ones that also just sort of give the old vibe of Slim Shady. And it's weird too because I didn't know that for Houdini that he actually sampled a song from someone else. I forgot what was his name. Let me check right now. So the person that Eminem sampled, Houdini, the song was actually Abracadabra. Like that's the actual name of the song from the Steve Miller Band. That's who it was. So he actually sampled that song, and I didn't know until my friend Dylan mentioned it to me. So that pretty much surprised me at that time. I really didn't know that he sampled that song, and I swear I thought that he made it himself. But yeah, he actually sampled that song from an artist, Steve Miller Band. That's the name from what I'm aware, or just Steve Miller, I'm guessing. But yeah, I would still say Houdini is good. So he does give that sort of vibe on his songs that, the old version of him and trying to do his best to, satisfy his fans or whatever. And the mixture of modern M and Slim Shady again, like I'm saying, is great because I don't want him to just fully rely on Slim Shady because it's not a good idea. Like I keep saying, many artists try to have it different many times because people then will just get bored of hearing the same shit over and over and over. So he tries to do his best with mixing them together because I know that there are people out there that like Slim Shady for sure and Modern M because some of the songs that he's done as Modern M is good. He's done many good songs still. Even if you don't agree that you still like Eminem or Slim Shady more, he's still done some pretty good songs as Modern M. So I think he did pretty good with that. And the pros, like I said before earlier, the concept of the death of Slim Shady is pretty cool because, like I said before, Eminem having like just fighting for his life against Slim Shady, trying to take him over and trying to eventually kill him off. And I'm pretty sure that doesn't mean that he's actually going to just stop being Slim Shady. I don't think that's what he meant. He's just sort of implying that for the album. I'm not sure. But like I'm saying, the concept that he did, especially for Guilty Conscience 2, I think it was really good with the way that he did a sort of battle against the two. I think it's really cool and definitely one of my favorite concepts for M. Definitely probably from the other albums he's done. So I do think that the concept of it is really cool. I'm just hoping that he doesn't kill off Slim, like actually just stops being Slim Shady. I'm just hoping that he sort of still gives like at a time, once in a while, maybe just bring back Slim and everything. But I don't know how he's going to do that now. I don't know if he actually meant to kill it off. But who knows, again. And the concept of many songs would be really cool for a music video. So what I mean by this is I feel like many of the songs that he's made right now for that album can be really cool for a music video. But I understand that he doesn't want to make... You can't really make a lot of music videos as an artist because many people would just not watch it or whatever, or maybe there won't be any point. But I would say since he made one for Houdini, and I think Toby, from what I'm aware, yeah, Toby, I think that he can make other songs as well, like Guilty Conscience 2, for sure. I would say he should make that. Temporary or Somebody Save Me, those songs would definitely be good to bring back as Old Slim because Eminem made a lot of music videos sort of dedicated to Haley or just family members or stuff like that. And he did really good with it, especially with When I'm Gone. What was the other ones? There were some other songs. That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, Mockingbird. My bad. I forget about Mockingbird. So he did really well with those music videos. So I think he has a lot of opportunities with these songs. I do think. I would say Guilty Conscience would be the best one. But again, Temporary or Somebody Save Me would be dope as well. And maybe other songs as well. And I'm not sure. But those would probably be my top three that I would say would be dope for a music video. Now, it's not really a massive pro, obviously. It's not making it the best album. I'm just saying this, in my opinion, that I think would be really cool since the many concepts he did for the songs. Now, we're going to be moving on to the cons, I would say. Now, the cons is something that I think people can agree on as well. Now, it feels like one of the cons is it feels like there's not enough edginess. Now, what I mean by this is when M used to make his videos or songs, I mean, he really went off. Like he didn't hesitate or anything. He went off on what he believed or what he was thinking when making songs. He went off. He didn't hesitate at all. He just did it. He didn't care. He did it. And maybe it was something with problems he dealt with back in the day of him, but he didn't hesitate with, you know, being edgy or making like fucked up jokes or whatever. And I respected that because of that, he was seen as like a respected person who didn't give a shit and will go off on anyone he doesn't respect or whatever. And he did really well with those songs because many of those songs are great now. Now I'm not gonna say that, I'm not gonna use this as an example like yeah, fuck her or something. For example, the time that he hated his mom. Now I understand that M doesn't, obviously he's, from what I'm aware, like uh you know, stopped, well, I can't explain, but he's sort of made up with his mom. I don't know if that's true, but he doesn't really obviously go off on his mom anymore because he started to realize that that shit's fucked up and that's not right. Especially since his mom was the one that was there to take care of him, even if it seemed like she didn't do the best. But he didn't hesitate on that, and people were like, "Holy shit, this motherfucker just hates his mom or whatever." Especially many songs that he's done that just fully dedicating on hating his mom and just calling her a piece of shit, like obviously cleaning up my closet, without me, the real Slim Shady, just sort of jokes and stuff that he would say. Also, brain damage, from what I recall, he literally calls her a cunt. I don't know if I could say that, but yeah, he didn't hesitate with that. Now, one thing that I think was way too far was definitely when he made the song of Kim for the album, that one album. I think that was definitely a really far, but it was fucking insane how far he went with that shit. I really do think like, holy shit, this motherfucker literally just made a song of killing his wife, his ex-wife. So I'm not saying that he should go that far with, like, you know, relying on, you know, fucking calling her a bitch or whatever, like calling his mom a piece of shit. I'm not saying that. Just sort of don't hesitate, like not hesitating with shit like that, like he did before. Just going with what's going on right now and just making fucked up jokes about it. And that's when I'm moving on right now with the second part that I think people definitely use to sort of say that the album is not that great. And what I'm saying is focusing more on not giving a shit about getting canceled than actually providing reasons to canceling him. So this is probably the biggest problem in the album. And the biggest problem is M keeps talking about him not giving a shit about getting canceled or anything. He keeps sort of referring like PC police, obviously like cancel culture, and also you gonna Gen Z me, bruh, like that corny shit. And I really do think that that was not really my favorite thing about it at all, because the things that he says to sort of like, I guess, sort of seem like people will cancel him is sort of like fuck deaf people and blind people suck or whatever, stuff like that, like retarded, like saying the word retarded. First of all, saying the word retarded is not really something evil, like that should that you should crucify him for or something. No, it really isn't. And saying stupid shit like fuck deaf people or blind people, like there's really nothing to go off on that, and it's clearly showing that he's just joking to get people pissed off and like bait them. But it really didn't work here, I would say, because that's all he really went off of, and saying like fuck deaf people and blind people suck, and sort of, I guess, joking. Like maybe one thing that was kind of funny is sort of, I think, mocking deaf people. Like what he said is, I think they got tired of me too. Like sort of having that sort of sound that, you know, some deaf people have when speaking. Obviously, I'm not hating on deaf people or anything. I'm just saying he was sort of mocking deaf people, and I guess that was okay. And there were some other things that he's definitely said, like that fucking roast on Diddy. I think that one was actually really funny, and also the joke on R. Kelly. That one was definitely funny as well. So there were things that I think were like actually hilarious and pretty funny, especially on the Houdini song. I think he did well with that one. But that was really much it, because M relied a lot more on saying that I don't give a shit about you canceling me than people really having reasons to cancel him. Because the thing about it is, M said a lot of fucked up shit on his old albums, and you could see that he didn't care. And even though he didn't care, people constantly did sort of flame him and try, I guess, to cancel him, that he's a piece of shit and everything. And you could see that he didn't care because there were some songs where he said, I don't care what the fuck you think, but it wasn't as much. It was probably like once every album or something. But M goes way too far on this one, I would say, because you didn't go enough on giving me reasons on why the fuck I should hate you. Like, I would say there could have been a lot more opportunities with things that he could have added with this album to sort of piss off a lot of people, but he didn't. It sucks. It kind of sucks about that because it feels like he was going kind of safe with this. And I'm not saying that he's going soft, but I feel like he definitely should have added more and more edginess and like, you know, like going off, because it felt like this Slim Shady wasn't really the full Slim Shady return. It feels like he hesitated or didn't really go off on how like serious and just how much Slim Shady didn't care. And again, he brought back Slim Shady, but he didn't really bring back everything for Slim Shady. And that was the thing that people really flamed on him for. And it's like, who the fuck is canceling Eminem? Who said we were canceling him? No one said we were canceling him. Who is trying to cancel him over this shit? And that's the thing that people really clowned on. And because many of the Eminem fans said, don't you get it? That's the concept, the joke. And it's like, yeah, that's the joke, but it's not funny. And that's the thing about it. It's, you need to provide a lot of sort of reasons or say like shit that is like, holy fuck, that's actually fucked up. But M didn't really do something like that. And he did a few times. He did a few times, I would say, that was actually really well made. But in this song, I feel like he went too far off on saying, I don't give a shit about me getting canceled. Fuck you guys if you're trying to cancel me. But you didn't really give us that many reasons or that many things on why like anyone would try to cancel you. There might have been a few times I recall on Twitter, scrolling past Twitter, and someone saying, "Holy shit, what a man child!" And out of all the things that that person made or sort of talked about on an album, that person talked about M dissing an actual like rapist and fucking pedophile Diddy. The line of Diddy, like sexual assault and stuff like that. That part I can't really explain the song or the lyric of it, but yeah, just M flaming on Diddy, like flaming an actual pedophile. Out of all the parts of a song, you flamed him on that, and like why? Why would you why would you at all try to like call him a man child on something like that when he's calling out a pedophile? And it's funny too because I later looked at that person and I was like, oh, never mind. Why should I care what the fuck they say? It's a Swiftie. So any Swifties that say some stupid shit like that, I'm not surprised because Swifties, they're pieces of shit and they're actually like retarded. But yeah, moving on from that, I would say this is probably the most crucial thing that really held back on the album. I'm not saying that the album is bad or anything. It's still good, but it definitely could have been better with what M shouldn't have done. And this was one of them. Just one thing that he actually mentioned on Guilty Conscience too, saying is that I pretend that he pretends that he doesn't care, but he actually does. And that's one thing that I think I agree, because he wasn't specifically talking about that, I think, because that was some shady saying that. But it's just that thing that pisses me off or like annoys me a bit, because that gives me a reason, or that gives me just like, oh yeah, now I understand why the fuck people are flaming on him for some stupid shit like that, because he keeps talking about him not giving a shit about me getting canceled or whatever. Dude, like, you could have added more things. I feel like it definitely would have been better. I feel like he was even more edgier on his Kamikaze, or like, yeah, his Kamikaze album. I feel like he went off a lot more on that because he was actually calling people out for sure, like MGK or other rappers. But in this one, like, I'm just saying, feel free to like, correct me and say that I sound stupid as shit. But I would say he definitely could have added a lot more sort of jokes and things in this album, but he really didn't. And this album is still good. But it's just one thing that I would say wasn't really good about the album, and it did kind of annoy me later on listening to that song or listening to the songs, because he talks about it way too much, and it does annoy me. Also, I would actually like refrain from ever saying corny words like PC police and Gen Z me. I I have no words for that. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say the PC police or you gonna Gen Z me, bruh. Like, I don't know. I think those words that he used just made it even more reasons to just clown on M. Because I don't think I've ever heard of any other artist or anyone talk about you gonna Gen Z me or you're gonna just call the PC police on me. It's sort of gave that boomer sort of fucking vibe. I know because he's like 50, but that's the thing. Just please don't use those words or any corny ass words like that. And if you're gonna talk about you not giving a shit about getting canceled, okay, prove it. Prove it by not saying that constantly, not saying I don't give a shit, and prove it by saying that you say all those fucked up shit and not saying a word about it. Not saying a word that you don't care. Sure, you can maybe mention it once in a while, but just prove it that you don't give a shit. I would say that that definitely would have been better and the best on how he could have made the album better. But that's just my opinion on that. And now, to conclude the video, I would say, was the death of Slim Shady worth the wait? Now, in my opinion, because this is again a video that's fully relying on your own opinion. But in my opinion, I would say the death of Slim Shady was worth it. I think it was worth waiting 4 hours. I feel like there was definitely a lot more he should have added and definitely could have fixed the album. He definitely could have fixed it a few times on some things. But I do think that the album was sort of worth the wait, and I do think he did pretty good on many of the songs. I really do like the songs that he's made on some of these, especially Habit, Guilty Conscience, definitely one of my favorite. Brand New Dance, Houdini, Antichrist. I think he did good on some of them. I really do think it's one of my favorite songs. And I understand that many of the other songs that he's made, like, I don't know, Head Honcho, Road Rage, Tobey Maguire, those songs, he didn't really do that great. They weren't, or I'm not saying that he did awful, I'm just saying that they're not really the best from the other songs that he's made. Now, would I say this album, let's say if I'm talking the lowest to low, like if it's awful, would I rank it as low as like an album as Revival? No, I wouldn't say that because actually, in my opinion, I think Revival was actually a good album. In my opinion, I actually like listening to the whole album, like all the songs. Besides Believe, I think the entire album of Revival was good. But let's say, for example, where would I rank this album? Now, if I would want to rank it, I would say the lowest I would go is probably top five. And maybe the shittiest album he's made. I feel like I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't really listened fully to the album, but Relapse wasn't really that great of an album, I think. And from what I'm aware, Kamikaze wasn't really either. Not really that much. I think. I'm not sure. I haven't really fully listened to many of the albums, like Relapse and Kamikaze. I did listen to Encore and stuff like that. But I would say this is probably better than Kamikaze. Music to be Murdered by, maybe. Relapse for sure. But would it be better than the Eminem Show, Recovery, and the Marshall Mathers LP2? Maybe. In some ways, maybe. But it's kind of close, I would say. There are some ways that the other albums he's made are definitely better, but this is still a close a close fourth place, fifth place. I would say this is probably my top five album. I would say probably top five. Maybe I would switch the albums, I would say, but this is still one of his good albums. I really do think he did good with this album, and I'm hoping maybe he adds more later on, something like that. But I would still say that despite the flaws that, definitely do hold it back and cause kind of problems with it, is it's still a good album. And I would recommend listening to it. Maybe if you don't like it, just try it one more time. Or if you don't really like it at all and just, like fuck that album, it's fine. And feel free to say what you think of that album. Feel free to criticize me on what the fuck I've been saying. But I would say that this album, in some ways, I think it was worth the wait. I feel like we shouldn't have waited 4 years for this, but at least it wasn't complete waste of time, and at least it wasn't a complete waste. He still did good on many of the songs. I would say probably 12 songs, the 12 out of 14, he did great at. The other two, Road Rage and Head Honcho, not that great. But I mean, it's better than shitty, like better than half of better than having an album that half of the songs, or maybe even 3/4 of the songs, are trash. But that's just my opinion. And concluding this, I just want to say that M is definitely my favorite artist of all time. There are other artists I like to listen to, but don't give that much of a you know inspiration or like motivation for me to listen to M or then M, because M, in some way, I just like listening to his songs. I just like them, and I've always liked them because I've listened to his songs since I was a kid. Even if I probably shouldn't have been listening to his songs as a kid, I've always liked his songs, and I really do. I've always liked all of his albums. The Marshall Mathers LP2, Recovery, this album that just released. In some of the songs, Kamikaze, uh, the Eminem Show, of course, the Slim Shady LP, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I like Eminem songs, and he's definitely my favorite artist of all time. But again, I understand that there are many things that he did wrong and like just was kind of stupid. I understand that, and he's not the perfect artist. I know he's not the best artist of all time. I guess I understand that he isn't, but in my opinion, I think he's my favorite and the best in my opinion. But that's just my opinion again. That's all I really have to say. I hope you enjoyed my long my long review of this album. So, like I'm saying again, all the songs are usually alright. Was it worth the wait? Yeah, I would say. Again, just my opinion. Cancel me if you want. Cancel me. But yeah. I hope you enjoyed my long video. It is long, and I know I shouldn't have kept repeating shit, but that's just what I do. I hope you enjoyed my video. Feel free to give your own review. Feel free to say what you want. Feel free to disagree, agree. Feel free to do anything. It's all an opinion. We all have different opinions. No one's perfect, alright? That's what makes us human, having different opinions. I hope you enjoyed. That's all I have to say. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it will be. See ya.